What is up, Answer Outdoors, folks? Here I am down in the compound. Listen, after this video, I'm going to run a contest for something awesome, and we're going to go through and I'm going to give you my one secret bladed bait at the end of this video. So stick around and check it out.
Hello everyone, welcome to Answer Outdoors. I'm Justin Hunnell, and thank you for allowing me to fuel your outdoor passion.
Alright guys, here we are down at the compound again on a rainy March morning. Listen, we've been quarantined for going on 3 weeks now, and I'd love to give you some outdoors video, some video previously shot, but I can't seem to come across any of that. So we're just going to keep going over systems, and this system is my spinnerbait system. As you've heard in the previous videos, I'm a big fan of spinnerbaits, and if you haven't seen those, go back and check those out. There's one on a one rod system, and there's one on a 2-color system. So give those a look, and you'll kind of peek into the method behind the madness and all that. So here at Answer Outdoors, what I like to do is I like to have systems for everything. And as I'm going to break this down, you'll see my spinnerbait system today. So let's check it out. Let's jump right in, and I'm going to start with my general spinnerbaits. All right, so if you catch me on the water on any given day, I'm going to have a spinnerbait tied on. And with that, I begin the day generally in a realm of spinnerbait that's familiar with all of us, and a lot of us never move away from. But there's situationally a lot of reasons too. So listen, this is a Strike King. This is actually a 3/8 ounce spinnerbait, all white. I have a trailer hook on there. It's got a little Colorado blade there and a willow leaf blade there. This is a good all-around spinnerbait setup. You'll notice it's white with silver flakes, black and white head. So generally I'm going to be throwing a spinnerbait. For most folks, it's not going to span the year, and it's not going to span water conditions. Normally it's going to be a little chop and some cloud cover, and that's really perfect spinnerbait conditions, and watercolor can vary from there. But that's really the perfect spinnerbait conditions. I tend to throw mine unless it is absolutely gin clear water and absolutely no chop and absolute bluebird skies. I will be throwing a spinnerbait a lot of the time as a search bait. I know that people have transitioned out of spinnerbaits into chatterbaits. Chatterbaits absolutely have their place, and absolutely I throw them. But to start out, I'm going to have something like this tied on. This is a pretty general, all-around good first bait to throw. As would something like this. This is a blue translucent top, white belly, just Bass Pro Shop spinnerbait. And this particular spinnerbait is dual willow leaf, and you're going to see 2 silver blades. This is great in an intermediate water clarity. Silver gives off a good flash. Dual willow leaf. You get both those blades turn, you get an okay thump. You're not going to feel it through your rod like like you're used to on a chatterbait. It is just going to be there. You'll feel ever so slightly those blades turning. Another great intermediate sort of color or beginning color. This is the other extreme of that. So this is 2 gold blades. This is a Bass Pro Shop spinnerbait there, and again, chartreuse and white. I love a chartreuse and white. I like gold blades specifically in smallmouth territory. And you'll see a lot of these baits have a gold trailer blade or a gold rear blade and a silver front blade. That's kind of a combination I like to throw. Now, my all-time favorite spinnerbaits are Nichols pulsators. They're just a great all-around bait. And this particular bait is like a purple, pearl, and white spinnerbait, 3/8 ounce. And then this guy has silver blades with a high, I don't even know if you can see it on the camera there, a high flake finish. So Nichols really is the best painted spinnerbaits I can find, in my opinion. Venom makes some really great ones too, and I've thrown a lot of Strike King because for a while that was the most popular. But Nichols pulsators really, they hold up awesome. They're great smallmouth territory where those fish really have a tendency to wreck your baits, and they have the best blade coating I've come across. So really, I lean heavily on these guys, and this is actually a spinnerbait you probably catch me with tied on. as you look across the deck of the kayak or boat or whatever, this is one that I lean very heavily on, and this is going to be in not just that prototypical spinnerbait condition, just some cloud cover, a little bit of chop on the water, and anywhere in the country, I'm really going to be leaning heavily on a bait like this. In fact, probably this bait specifically, to kind of establish whether there's a spinnerbait bite at all. Another general spinnerbait you'd see me with is something like this. This is a 1/2 ounce Strike King. Again, dual willow leaf, and this is a gold and silver blade. You're going to catch me throwing that dual willow leaf or a willow leaf and Indiana or Colorado blade to start 9 times out of 10. It's my comfort level, and I think it's a great beginning. What you're doing is you're establishing the fact that they want that moving presentation, that they want that flash, that they want that vibration. And again, you have an all chartreuse gold and gold here. That's the presentation they want. And if I can get one fish to bite on kind of this category, I can really pin it down from there if I don't know what else to go with. I will say that if I walk out of the water and there's just a good bit of stain, that's when I'm going to immediately tie on this category and maybe skip over, with the exception of those chartreuse ones at the end, those first couple baits. And that is... this is in particular is a Terminator T1 series, dual willow leaf. Again, this is a 1/4 ounce bait, so this is a little smaller than I generally throw. But sometimes I'm going to be up tight against cover, something like that, and I want a compact bait. This would be a great bait as the water starts to stain up a little. Still dual willow leaf, 2 willow leaf blades is always my go-to beginning. And again, if I'm running that sort of slightly stained water, getting good flash with not as much vibration, so you get a good imprint. This is again a Strike King, and this is a Fire Tiger bait. Obviously the skirt's upside down, so let's rotate that the way it's supposed to be, or right there. And I like this also as a bluegill imitation. It's a little in their face for that, but hey man, it works. And I'm going to be throwing that dual willow leaf up until the water clarity gets pretty chocolate milky. And when that starts to be the case, or kind of variation between those two categories, would be something like this. This is a War Eagle spinnerbait, and again, you got those big thumping blades. This is going to be, kind of their version of a Colorado blade, Colorado setup. This is a Finesse series spinnerbait, so it's a little bit smaller. And again, this might be stained water where I need color and flash and vibration, but a more compact bait. This would be a great bait. And again, in that stained water, moving towards, just a little less visibility, we're going to be looking at something like this. This is obviously a chartreuse and white, and this is again a Bass Pro Shop spinnerbait, in dual Colorado blades on this guy, and a Fire Tiger bait on here, in dual Colorados. What you will see, if you look real closely on a lot of my spinnerbaits, I use a little trick of zip tying the skirt together. I use little tiny zip ties and just pull the skirt tight. I'm never quite sure the quality of the silicone band that they put on these, and a lot of times that'll break, or the rubber band. I think it's silicone, like that surgical tubing. And to me, it just makes sense to reinforce that with a zip tie. It takes 1 second when I take it out of the package. Color doesn't seem to really matter, and it just really holds those skirts together. So, one of the biggest things about spinnerbaits is just you leave them in a box, they get warm, that band breaks, you open it up, there's skirts everywhere. I have a box full of spinnerbaits that just need skirts from that. And I haven't gone through and done it yet, but that's kind of where that system came from, as far as just a quick little... throwing a quick zip tie on there. So again, a Bass Pro Shops bait. This is going to venture into that really murky sort of, I can't see a foot in front of my face. I can't see my rod tip if I don't get down to the water clarity. And this is a single Colorado, and I'm running, this is a chartreuse and white. It is a big profile bait. This is a 1/2 ounce bait. And this is actually going to be tied on if the water clarity is next to nothing. And it's going to stay on my deck all day. And if not that, definitely something like this. This is a single, obviously, Colorado painted blade, all black. And I'll tell you what, when the water clarity is next to nothing, all black bait is a great bait to go with. The other thing is, one time Bill Dance, if you guys know who that is, was put to an answer of what he thinks the most versatile bait in the world is, and his answer was an all black single Colorado spinnerbait. So something just like this. there's multiple. Booyah makes these. Nichols makes these. Strike King makes these. So any of those baits, great baits. You know, and that's going to kind of go that extreme milky water clarity is going to go to those baits there. So check it out. The other way I will go with that is to go with something like these. And these are painted blade spinnerbaits. And there's two applications I use these for. So this is just a basic everyday Strike King. In fact, you can get these at Walmart. Single painted blade, you know, spinnerbait. It's a great setup. And you can throw this in really any water clarity. It tends to shine in milky, sort of that dark stained water. It's got a big imprint in the white with a white blade. It's got some red highlights on there. Or if they're heavily feeding on shad, I'll throw one of these. Again, we're looking at Strike King. This is probably one of the old Pro Series here, and this is going to be a chartreuse and white. And I lean heavily on these in dark water and murky water. But the other place I will lean on these baits is in smallmouth territory. And this is one of my all-time favorites. Again, this is in Nichols. This is a purple pearl with purple pearl blades. The finish on these hold up. The wiring holds up. And I've mangled the other two, which is really why I've kind of moved away from these guys and really stuck it hard to the Nichols Pulsator series. It's just a great all-around bait. It's compact wire setup. It runs through the weeds really well, and it also holds up to those crazy smallmouth bites. I will, although these are not big, you know, Colorado blades, I will throw this in also murky water. A great place to throw this is when there's a good amount of chop and you're really trying to, you know, make an impression over a weed bed or something like that. I would almost look at this as a miniature, specifically in the painted blades, as a miniature A-rig. You know, there's a lot of folks that have gone to fishing an A-rig over, you know, over a spinnerbait setup. Obviously, there's multiple hooks in an A-rig. Obviously, it's a much bigger imprint. But I really think that the painted blade baits imitates that profile on a much smaller scale. So I really lean heavily on these, and it's something I think I do that's a little different than most other people in the spinnerbait world. So from there, hey, we've talked about standard everyday water, you know, a little bit of boat traffic, a little bit of that stuff on there. We've talked about slightly stained water. We've talked about slightly or super stained water. What about kind of clear water? What about water in the spring of the year that's got some chop on it? We have some cloud cover. The conditions say spinnerbait above the surface, but we look and it's a little bit clear. I'll tell you what, that's actually one of my favorite times to throw a spinnerbait. My thing is I go with more subdued colors and more subdued presentation. So, you know, this is a War Eagle double willow leaf in like a sexy shad sort of color. This is a really good bait for that situation. And War Eagle makes a heck of a spinnerbait, and I'm a big fan. But, you know, this is a good presentation for that sort of clear with slight chop and cloud cover. Great presentation. If we're going slightly more sun, I'll show you a different spinnerbait, but again, clear, slight chop, a little bit of cloud cover. We're going double silver on this guy. This is a Stanley wedge. These are great spinnerbaits. I have found the Stanley wedge will start to not run true after a couple fish just due to the wire. It is a thinner wire, but that is how they produce a vibration. So what you'll notice with the Stanley wedge is, if you're throwing them, they get a lot of vibration for the blade configuration. You'll feel it, and that has to do with a little bit lighter wire. So realize that. But this is a great, you know, blue and almost a luminescent luminescent clear sort of skirt. And I'll throw this in that water clarity of a little bit of chop, a little bit of cloud cover, pretty clear water. You know, I'm gonna lean heavily on like a blue back, clear bottom. Sometimes chartreuse, sometimes not, skirt. Now, the other bait I will throw in that setup is going to be something similar to this in that water clarity. This is like a shiner color, T1 series again, and this is again an Indiana or, you know, and willow leaf blade. This is a 1/4 ounce, so I'm going to bring that bait size down and get more compact. And I will throw this when I have a little bit of chop and, like I said, a little bit of cloud cover. That's still spinnerbait territory for me. For a lot of folks, that's going to be like not a thing, but for me, it really is. And I really rely heavily on a spinnerbait, and grew up Oneida Lake. It's that's what we do. But the other thing is, if you look, some of the very best fishermen in the world ever have always had a spinnerbait tied on. One of those being Kevin Van Dam. You won't catch him without one. So really big fan of this, and my all-time favorite sort of combination. And you guys will have to forgive me. I'm not always super technical with the colors, because I just kind of it's not last on my list, but there's a lot of things that come before color specifically, but I know it works and I know it doesn't. And in clear water with slight chop, again, I'm in a Nichols Pulsator series. I'm in a dual willow leaf. This is a gold flake blade, and this is a silver flake blade on kind of like a golden shiner color. And this sort of combination is my all-time favorite clear water presentation. Again, in a Nichols gold head. I think that, oddly enough, those painted blades, again, they really set this bait off. And I fish painted blades super heavily, so it's one of those things that, I go out of my way for, and I think this is just a better clear water presentation than even, say, the Finesse series lures from the other companies. Man, I just lean on this heavily. I've caught a ton of fish on this setup. Strike King also makes a really great golden shiner imitation for spinnerbait, and I really still will always have a spinnerbait on my deck. It's just a bait that, yeah, you can't catch them any other time, but this you can vary so much in water clarity. You can vary so much in moving water, still water, chop, less chop, more chop, no chop, cloud cover, bluebird skies, whatever, depth. You can fish the entire water column with a spinnerbait. You can fish structure with a spinnerbait. You can fish structure like a stump field, a tree field. You can cast it out, let it drop. A lot of times the fish will hit it on a drop. You can fish all sorts of different parameters with a spinnerbait, and especially with a system. In these videos, what you guys will notice is I'm big on systems. I'm big on, starting at one end and going to the other end. Do I catch something on a spinnerbait? Do I get a follow on a spinnerbait? If I get a follow on a spinnerbait, what do I change? How do I get them to bite that? I love fishing multiple techniques, and I love, I hunt a lot too, and you'll see that in the other videos. I love figuring out different, I get very specific in one thing, and then I drill that pattern down and continue on until I kind of perfect that way of doing something. So it's very system oriented, and my spinnerbait system has worked for me time and time and time again all over the country in different spots, different water conditions. And hey, a lot of times I will end up bringing this back in from not starting at this extreme edge to starting somewhere, just judging by what I'm looking at on the water. But if you pulled my rods out of my rod locker, or pulled my rods out of my kayak, or just grabbed them out of my basement here, what you would see is one rod would definitely have some sort of just killer spinnerbait tied on it. And that's kind of the way I roll with this. So stick around, because I want to tell you about my contest and my one secret wire bait that nobody else throws. Here it is, guys. This is my secret wire bait I told you I'd unveil at the end of this video. This is an all black buzzbait. Now listen, we're not going to throw this bait at the spring of the year, March, like it is right now. When we are going to throw this bait is when the fish really start to move up shallow, and you might find them relating to structure. Anytime they might bite a top water, or anytime you have any sort of chop. I will throw this over open water if I know there's a rock pile or some sort of structure below. They will come up to hit this. The reason I'm using black is I love that profile. So you're going to see a black blade, a black skirt, a black head. It's a big bait. I can throw this a mile and start winding. Really, there's no color I would throw other than all black. I do have one white buzzbait I carry just in case. But other than that, all 3 or 4 buzz baits I have in my box are this guy right here. This is a hand-tied bait. It's all black. It is a black blade, and if you listen real hard, you can hear that squeak. If you don't have the squeak, don't bother. That blade has got to squeak. And I would guarantee there's been more money won on a buzz bait than man, a lot of other lures you get a lot more press about. I think this is really one of the secrets of folks that do well in tournaments and folks that catch a lot of fish that they're just not willing to talk about. But here I am throwing it out for you because I believe that we make this all better by sharing our information. So this is where it's at for me. This is the only buzz bait I throw, and this is actually my favorite wire bait overall because I love a buzz bait bite. It's awesome. So again, all black, it leaves a great profile. It works in the wind, it works in super sunny, it works in super muddy. It just works. Don't be scared to throw a buzz bait anytime once the fish move shallow. So, great around cover, great around grass, great around lily pads. If they're on a frog, they could be on a buzz bait. If they're on chasing bait fish, they can be on a buzz bait. If they're on a topwater, they can be on a buzz bait. And really keeping them pinned on a buzz bait super easy. I always throw a trailer hook. I do run them up like that. It's just a great all-around bait. You can't beat this in any time from post spawn on. You can get them to bite a buzz bait. You're gonna have and it tends to be a really big fish bait as well. So you're gonna bring home a big sack with throwing a buzz bait, and I would not bother unless it squeaks and it's all black. So that's that. Check it out though. What I am going to do is, because we are trying to grow this channel and we're trying to do it quick and we're trying to do it with some quality, what I'd like is if you guys subscribe and comment what your favorite wire bait, be it spinnerbait or buzz bait, is of all time down below. I will pick someone at random and go ahead and throw out a Nichols pulsator to that person. I don't have any ties to Nichols. I just think they're awesome baits, and I really want somebody else to jump on this painted blade train that I'm on. It's really awesome. So listen, if you don't win the bait, go ahead and follow the links I'm going to leave down below for all the stuff I talked about today. And thanks for tuning in. Good luck on the contest. Catch a big one. Shoot straight. Stay safe. And have a great day. Thanks for tuning in.